today we're going to be talking about the lamed. The lamed makes the sound like in a look. The Peshat level of understanding for this letter is that it has a numerical value of 30 and it is the 12th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And it means to learn, to teach, shepherd, staff, royalty, and what was the last one? Scepter, there we go, scepter. The Remez level of understanding for this letter is that if you add, it is composed of a vav and a kaf. If you add, you see the vav, or this is the vav right here, and then this is the kaf. And if you add their numerical values together, you would add kaf or vav 6 plus kaf 20, you get 26. Do you remember any other letter that has a numerical value of 26? Come on, guess. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Okay, I'll tell you. The Aleph has a numerical value of 26. The Aleph and the Lamed are paired letters. Since the Lamed is raised above all the other letters, it represents the King of Kings. And if you translate the word Judah into Hebrew and add all those letters of Judah, you get 30. And the numerical value of the Lamed is 30. Judah!
The third level of understanding is that Aleph and Lamed are paired letters, so they're both associated with royalty. God, who is the King, Melech HaOlam, He is through His Word and through His Spirit, He is reaching out to teach us His Word so that we can learn His ways with spiritual awareness of His character and love. Remember, you can't truly love someone until you know them.
Know them. You gotta really know them.
The Lamed is composed of a kaf and a vav, and this means that when we study and learn God's Word, He will crown us with a keter, a crown, and we will stand tall, representing His love and power. In the Torah, there is a very special people called Israel, and it says in Exodus 19 verse 6, "So as for you," referring to Israel, "you will be to me a kingdom of Kohanim." Remember, that means priests. "And a holy nation. These are the words which you are to speak to Bnei Yisrael," which means the sons of Israel. Now for the fourth level of understanding, the Sod. Yod is the beginning of the Aleph, and Lamed is the last letter of Yisrael, which is Israel in Hebrew. So when we begin to study God's Word, we begin very small, but as we begin to know Him, we end up being bigger, and we start to get taller, and we stand tall because His Word teaches us, and then we can teach others with our actions. So you might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with me? Well, did you know that through our Messiah Yeshua, we have been grafted into these promises, and we are called to be a royal priesthood? Grafted, for example, is like when you graft a tree. You start off with one tree and it's grown, right? But then you cut off a little part of that tree and you add another part of a different tree to that tree, and you tie it together and you let it stay there for a couple of weeks or days. And when you take the string off, it will grow together. It will stay together, and when the tree grows bigger, it will grow with the nutrients from that little branch, and it will grow into a big tree with both of them. So they've been grafted together. That's what grafted means. It says in Romans 11 verse 1, "I say then, God has not rejected His people, has He? May it never be." And then we continue to verse 17. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, being a wild olive, were grafted in among them, and become a partaker of the roots of the olive tree with its richness. So it says that we become a partaker in the promises. We don't replace Israel, but we are grafted into the olive tree, which is Israel, and we are together, we're grafted in. We do not replace Israel. We become a royal priesthood. And you know what a priest does? A priest is to serve. So we become a royal priesthood so that we can serve. Every Every person can influence his or her friend or student, but every parent has the obligation to teach his or her children about the good deeds and ethics of God. The Torah is infinite. It has no beginning and no end. Infinite means it goes on forever, so no matter how many times we read it, we can always discover new insight and new revelation.
My family and I read the Bible once every year.
The entire Bible.
Every single time we read it, we discover something new. Like this year, we discovered Psalm 119, and we learned about and how it correlates with the Hebrew letters. It was really cool. We never saw that.
And now we're teaching you.
Yeah.
We must approach reading the Word of God, the Bible, like children, always ready to read and learn something new, and to listen, right, like the Dalits.
So even you kids can teach your parents.
After you hear and listen to the Word,
but not be bossy over them, but you can teach them through your actions. I challenge you today to serve with your actions this week. Like, you could wash the dishes, you can take out the trash, walk the dog, clean the bathroom, sweep the floors, mop the floors if you want to mop. You can mow the grass, you can take out the carpets, vacuum a little bit. You could, you can dust the walls. You could. Hebrews 11:6 says, He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. And Proverbs 25:2 also says, It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, and the glory of kings to search it out.
now we'll teach you how to draw and paint the Lamed.
So to draw the Lamed, we're first going to start drawing these points here, these 3 points. So we're going to maybe go in the middle of the top left quadrant and maybe down 1/2 inch and put a dot there, right about here. Then we're going to make a dot in the middle, maybe a little bit down from the middle, a dot right there. I also have this picture over here if you want to make your sketches off of this. That's what I'm going to be doing because it's a lot easier to make your sketches than the painting. So then I'm going to make another dot close to the bottom, more or less. Like a dot maybe right about 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch down. So we're going to start here and we're going to go down and create this half of the Lamed. So now we're going to go down, basically straight down, and maybe right about close to this area we'll curve, create that S-like look. I'm going to start back at the top and create the other side of this letter. So this is the Lamed. So now we're going to do the background a little bit. It might look a little overwhelming, but it's just basically lines and curved lines. So we're gonna make these frames that go down all the way to the bottom. It might be easier to see here. So I'm gonna use my ruler for this part. So I'm gonna start maybe right about here. Make the ruler as straight as I can. Just go down. You wanna stop, you don't wanna go right through your Lamed, you just wanna stop at the Lamed and start back where the Lamed ends again. To be like this, see? Then I'm gonna make the other line to determine the thickness. You don't want it to be too thick of a bar. Just go straight down. I'll stop at the Lamed and continue down. Stop here, continue down. Like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing again, but right here at the edge of the Lamed. And then like that. So those are these 2 frames right here. So now what we're going to do is, if you see here, there's a bar that goes, this is better over here, there's a bar that goes straight out like this, but over here there's like 2 shelves. This is 1 shelf. So we're going to maybe try making the same thickness here. This stuff. You want to try keeping the same thickness for all your bars. You don't want like thin bars and thick bars. Try keeping it all the same thickness. Then again, when you're painting it and it doesn't seem right, you can always fix it later. Like that line, just like that. I'm gonna continue the line through here. I'm gonna make the 2 bars here. I'm gonna be a bar here and a bar there, aligned with this part of the lamed. So I'm gonna make the rest of the shelves, and then at the end I'm gonna make all these straight lines for the books inside of the shelves. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler on this, like all the way like this, and we're going to draw all the books. We're going to stop here, we're going to skip this one and continue the line, stop here and continue the line. So we're going to make lines for this one, skip this one and that one. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this side of the equation, or this side. There we go, that side. There we go. Now we got our library halfway set up. Now we're just gonna make this thing here, some books on top of this lamed. Okay, so we're gonna make these lines symmetrical with the lines that we make on the top. So I'm gonna use my ruler for this, make it straight. So, yep, more books here, more books. I will make some books here. I know that this part's not showing a lot here, but since I made a gap here, I might as well put some more books. Maybe 3 books here. So, next thing we're going to do is start making more books over here. We're going to make like a cake type of a layer thing, like books on the side. Those are the books over there. Here, these books have numbers. So I'm going to do like 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to make this thing here. So I'm going to start like by making like a heart. Big round heart. Make a circle and curve back around. Another one, and an even smaller one. Like that. Then we're gonna make this thing here, kind of like, start maybe about here, curve up a little bit, go straight down. Gonna make the other half, straight down again. Go past this one, then we're gonna go straight this way. And then we're just gonna curve down. Make sure it comes out of the heart. And right here, we're just gonna go like that. Then we're just gonna make 4 things here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we are going to make the desk. The desk. Good desk. I'm going to start by making a straight line. I'm going to use my ruler for this part. Straight line all over here. Try leaving the same amount of spacing you leave on both sides. So that's what we're going to do. So now we're just going to curve out and then down. We're going to make another line that goes right through here. Then we're just going to make these rectangles here. Now we're just going to make these books on the desk. I think that's about it. That's how you draw the Lamed.
So to draw the Lamed, these are the colors that we're going to be using. So I'm going to go over the main colors that we'll use, but this is a bookcase, so books come in all different colors, right? So it's up to you on what colors you want to use for the books. We'll be using real yellow, pumpkin orange, nutmeg, real green, black, purple iris, bright blue, real blue, apricot, mermaid parade, gray fox, Atlantis, and fuchsia. So we're going to start off with painting the bookcase first. And so there's like these big thick bars here that are kind of like wood in my painting, and then there's lots of yellow space in between. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint all of these wood bars. And to do that, I'm going to be using a combination of nutmeg and pumpkin orange. So I'm going to combine these two. I'm going to mix them on my palette first, but I'm going to use mostly pumpkin orange and a little bit of nutmeg to make this color. And I'm going to do all those bars first, and after that I'm going to paint in all the yellow spots, and then the desk and the books. So next, I'm going to do all the places on the bookshelf that don't have books on it, but has basically like blank space like this. And I'm going to paint that with my yellow and orange combination, but I'm going to use mostly yellow and less orange. So now we're going to read to you Psalm 119 verses 89 to 96 that correlate with the Lamed.
Verse 89. Forever, Adonai, your word stands firm in the heavens. Your faithfulness endures from generation to generation. You established the earth and it stands. Your judgments stand today. For all... Wait, oops. I went too far. I'll start again. Forever, Adonai, your word stands firm in the heavens. Your faithfulness endures from generation to generation. You established the earth and it stands.
So it says, forever your word stands, okay? Remember how we talked about how the Lamed stands tall? So it also says in verse 90, and it stands. You established the earth and it stands. It stands tall, right? Just like the Lamed.
Verse 91 through 92. Your judgments stand today, for all things are your servants. If your Torah had not been my delight, I would have perished in my affliction.
So again it says, your judgments stand today. They stand tall, right?
Verse 93 through 94. I will never forget your precepts, for with them you have kept me alive. I am yours, save me, for I have sought out your precepts.
So at the end there it says sought out your precepts, right? How do you sought something out? Well, you study it, right? David is saying that he studied the Lord's precepts. And what does the lamed mean again? It means to study, to learn.
Verse 95 through 96. The wicked waits for me to destroy me, but I will study your testimonies. I have seen a limit to all perfection, yet your commandments is boundless.
So it's saying study again. It literally says study, and that's what the lamed means, remember? So we've just read to you Psalm 119 verses 89 to 96 and explained how it correlates with the lamed. So now that you've finished your yellow background over here, we're just going to start on the lamed, okay? And to do this, I used 3 colors. First, I used Atlantis for about the top starting about, or finishing here. And then after Atlantis, I transitioned into Mermaid Parade from about here, stopping here, and then from here to the bottom, I used Real Blue, okay? So how we're going to do this is, I'm just going to put some drops of paint of my first color. So the next thing we're going to do is this desk here at the bottom. And to do this, the color I'm going to use is Nutmeg for the main color. And then I'm going to paint the entire thing brown, the whole desk. Then I'm going to take my black and I'm just going to outline these like boxes and lines here. And then I'll just go around the borders over here on the edges. Next I'll be doing this thing here, and the first thing I'm going to do is paint the entire, this part here, pink, and then I'm going to go over with my number 2 brush and paint this lamed in here brown. So now everything on your lamed painting is done except for the books. So for the books, what I did is I used a whole bunch of different colors. You don't have to use the same colors that I use. Please use whatever colors you would like. Some tips that I would give is like for here, I put the little like yellow lines. A tip that I had for that would be not to put the yellow lines on all the books, but just to give it some variety and difference. See, I put them on here on the desk and stuff. Also here with the numbers, it's very hard to paint numbers. So what I did here is I took my number 2 brush and I used the very, very tip, like the pointy part, and just used that kind of like a pencil to paint the letters. So once you finish painting your books, you'll be done with the lamed. Hope you enjoyed painting the lamed with me.
Today you learned about the lamed and how it makes the sound like in look. You also learned how it has a numerical value of 30 and it is the 12th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It means to teach, to learn, shepherd's staff, royalty, and scepter. You also learned how this letter is composed of 2 Hebrew letters, the Vav and the Kaf. If you add their numerical values together, then you get 26. You learned that the Aleph also has a numerical value of 26 and that they're paired letters.
You learned that when we read the word and we really, really study it, then God will crown us with a crown, a keter, and He will show us standing tall like the lamed, representing His love and power. You learned that through our Messiah Yeshua, we have been grafted into these promises, and that we do not replace Israel, but we are grafted in, and we are to serve Israel by being a royal priesthood. Remember, the priest's job is to serve the Kohanim.
You also learned that even you kids can teach your parents, but not be bossy over them, but to teach them through your actions. We hope you enjoyed this video. Shalom!